Hello guys. Okay, so first off, I'm gonna be making a full setup and installation video for Charles Proxy with the cracking tool that will be for the latest version available 3.11.5. Now, I'd like to give a big shout to my man Cedric Cedric Segal, who gave me the link to download the crack, and I'd like to say that that guy has been a great help and a great friend to me and to all our work for years. That being said, I also got a notice that Marvel Avengers Alliance first version had changes in their server address. Yeah. Also, I got messages regarding a coded, if you will, encoded, encrypted or whatever, new trainers that can't be decrypted, and I decrypted those. Still, I'm gonna show you how to make your own and actually decrease the possibility of getting yourself in trouble. Okay. Okay, first off, let's start with the Charles installation. I have downloaded Charles already, but here is the link, and I'll leave it in the description, charlesproxy.com, latest minus release download.do. However, once you go to the www.charlesproxy.com, you will be pretty eased off in finding the download page and the download itself. Now, you would, if you're using Windows, which I strongly recommend if you're trying to cheat in games, because it's the most tested of all, if you're using Windows, make sure you know whether you have the 32-bit or 64-bit operating system installed. Also, before installing Charles, you need to have few main things. You need to have archive tool like WinRAR, for example, or 7-zip or whatever. Everything will work. You don't need to ever extract the files that are with extension jar. Now, normally they are extractable, you see, jar, but the main source for opening them has to remain Java, which you have to install as well before continuing with the Charles installation. Most of the browsers may work, but the most tested, most proven one is Chrome, or Chrome-based browsers too. So Opera is a Chrome-based browser. For Share.com, which is a storage file storage website, they made their own. I believe the name was Citron or something like that. It's a Chrome-based browser. Kuon is also a Chrome-based browser for gamers that can make their own short kinda bots to automate some processes. Really not able to do a lot, but still in the great possibility to do miracles in terms of automating your game, whatever. So if you want, you can Google all of these names. I'm really not gonna bother putting in links to each and every one of those. I'm only gonna put the links that are essential to that video or our topic at hand. So, moving on. I'm starting with the installation. I picked the Win64 MSI, basically the 64-bit version. Now, in Windows 10, but in any other Windows, you need to find My PC icon, right-click it, and go to go to System. Sure enough. At System, you will see System Type. It says 64-bit the system is actually 64-bit, and it is run by a 64-bit based processor. So there's a compatibility here. But if you have a 32-bit processor, you cannot, under any circumstances, you cannot install a 64-bit Windows. Anyways, if you have a 64-bit processor, you can still install a 32-bit Windows, but that will drastically decrease the performance of the computer, since it will only use one core of your processor, which in simple terms would mean that if your processor is a quad core, it becomes a single core, and that's not something you want to have if you're gonna have a gaming PC. Either way, gaming or not gaming, most apps require a lot of resources, and you need all the juice you can get from your PC. So make sure you know what PC you have. A little Google research on the model can also tell you a lot. So, continuing with the installation. So you just run it, and you see 3.11.5 version. Accept these terms. Next. As you see, the folder where it will be installed is C program file Charles. So install it. Done. Okay. Still, it is not cracked yet. Now, I'm gonna go and right click on its icon in the start menu and pin to start. I want it pinned here because I want to know where it is. Then I'm gonna give it a first start, so it will start. You know, I want it to run at least once. I want to make sure everything functions right. You should better probably do that. See, it says a 30-day trial version. If you continue using Charles, you must purchase the license. Blah 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 blah, and you must wait seconds. When you use it in the middle of anything, it'll say, well, let me just explain this. Allow it for public networks, because some of the settings on the computer may be to a public network and may actually forbid Charles to do something because you said private network. No one's gonna screw up with you. They can, because basically it's Charles asking will he get permissions, or, well, more extended permissions or limited ones. Okay, that being said, now that we know that Charles is already reading, even without me using the browser, there is still calls from websites, especially Facebook, which connects to a server every so on seconds to check whether there is an internet connection if you're still on. So it will actually result in keeping your online status alive. Pretty much almost everything, but I'm pretty much sure you already know what Facebook is doing with your private data, so it's not like I'm discovering hot water here. So, it says purchase license, register, blah 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 blah. About Charles, it still comes to the point where it says you must purchase a license. Okay. You will need to also install the SSL driver with certificate, not the drive. What the hell? So the SSL certificate to be able to look into responses from Facebook specifically. Some responses may go through even without the SSL, but the most important ones are actually HTTPS hidden, which means SSL protection 1000%. Closing Charles. Closing this because you don't need it anymore. We know that our Windows is a Windows. We know that it's a 10 in my case, and we know it's a 64-bit. I don't need to know anything more. So I'm going to the folder. I will also leave the link to that archive, and you will find inside both the cracks for 86 and 64-bit version. So I go inside and I just copy that file. You don't extract it, you don't run it, you just copy it. Copy. Then you go to C. Remember I told you this goes to C. Now you have two program files if you're using a 64-bit Windows. If you're using an 86 one, you only have one folder of these, unless you manually made another one. But in my case I have a 64-bit, so there has to be two places, one for the 32-bit apps, the other one for the 64. Well, 32 is actually the other name for 86-bit. I don't know why it gave it that name. I assume it's because of back in time there was two-core processors, so basically I don't know. For me it makes some sense, so it's not really the topic at this point. Moving on. I'm using a 64-bit Windows with a 64-bit Charles, so by default that means my Charles folder should be in the one that's responsible for 64-bit apps. So program files x86 is not my folder for Charles, regarding at least. So I go in the normal one, which is a 64-bit, and I immediately find Charles inside. I click and I see icon. This is an icon. You're not to be here. This is an application. You're not to be here as well. You go to lib, L-I-B folder, and you will see Charles. Here it is, executable jar file, and it has 2.857 kilobit of size. Pretty much. So you just go on a blank space or whatever and just paste the one that you copied. It'll says what to do, skip file, compare info for both files, or replace file in the destination. Replace. That's what you do. Continue. And that's it. Now, I'm gonna go back. Actually, I'm gonna close because it's already cracked, and I'm gonna open Charles. Now, I always try to make matters easier. You see, you have no more message for registering, so it's cracked. I usually do like this with apps that are extremely important. So for me, Charles has one of the top priorities for game cheating. So I go to right click on the tab of Charles in the taskbar, and I do pin to taskbar. So even when I close Charles, I'll have this small vase icon, mug, vase, whatever, right in the taskbar, and with a single click you will always be able to open it. So now, moving on again to about Charles, it says it's registered to whatever. I don't even know if that means anything, but not to offend anyone, it's a language, it's a valid language, and that's probably the name of the guy that did that, so thank you dude, much power to you. So, again, I'm gonna hide this little menu. We have to now move to installing the SSL certificate. Now, you may wonder where you're gonna get that. Well, Surprise, surprise, Charles has that with him all the time. Now, I've gotten some comments on YouTube that you cannot imagine. So, without further ado, here is the biggest secret of all. Help! SSL Proxy install Charles' root certificate. Really? It was actually that easy. But apparently nowadays people, instead of at least trying to go through the menus or at least Google something, they just go and spit hundreds of comments with questions that don't, well, actually humiliate themselves more than the video maker, the YouTuber at this point. So, closing that page off and continuing forward, click on Install Charles root certificate. Here, I moved down so you can see it because it goes in white and kind of merges the colors. Install certificate. Now, it'll say either to local machine or current user. Now, local machine, that would mean if you make a different user account at any point in the future, or if you already have multiple ones, all of them will get that certificate forced into them. You don't want to do that, because sometimes Charles is known to make mistakes in which he ceases to record, and the only fix is either making a new account in your computer or completely reinstall your Windows. That's so much where my research brought me. So, what you want to do is go on current user. Well, basically just, it should be by default, so if it's by default, leave it at it's so. If it's not, make it a current user, go with next. It says automatically select as no. This is not your option. You need to select manually where it'll go. So you can place all certificates in the following storage. Now, because it's only one certificate, it's not gonna do it for any of the future certificates your computer may get hands-on that have nothing to do with Charles. So we're talking about, if that's more than one certificates in a pack, they will go there. Do I make myself clear? I mean, I'm trying to explain it in a manner that is extremely easy. I'm pretty much sure if the Charles people are watching, they wouldn't have said it better themselves. So, browse. Trusted root certificate authorities. From what I've noticed in different language Windowses, the language may change, but the position of the folder Trusted root certification authorities will never change. Ever. Hopefully in future not, but for now it stayed on the same position, number 2. First is personal, second is trusted. So if you're not understanding the language on the computer you're doing that, just go with the second folder, that's the one. Also, you will notice that the name of the folder is a little bit bigger than usual, where personal is just an extremely short name, and the next one is Enterprise Trust, which is also very short. So double click that, well, actually even a single click would do, and click OK. It's selected, and click Next. Now, when you click Finish, you will get certain messages. If you had an SSL proxy before installed by Charles, it will not show these messages until you remove the certificate and reinstall a new one. But that'll be for another video. So for now, we were assuming the computer never had any Charles installation, which mine it didn't, since I reinstalled my Windows and updated it. So it's a Virgin computer with a Virgin operating system. So clicking Finish, you're about to install the certificate from a certification authority of CA, claiming to represent Charles Proxy customer root certificate built on desktop, which is my computer, blah 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 blah. Because it says that it was built here, considering that it comes from my local storage, it doesn't come from online. So Charles is not reaching for that certificate in any server whatsoever. It's reaching within its folders, which means once installed you already have it in your computer, but you still need to install it with the manner that we're explaining. So you just go yes with this. It says, do you want to install this certificate? Yes, of course. The import was successful. Good, good, good. So delete all of the responses, whatsoever the responses, and close Charles. Why close? Well, you need all changes to take effect. So at that point, we're gonna close the browser as well. In my case, I've set my browser to automatically reopen all pages that were open when I closed it, so it'll actually do me a great deal of favor. Let me just close these YouTube videos. And will make it much easier for me, considering that, well, it's not really like it has to open a lot of stuff, but yeah. Closing. And reopen again. So, I'm gonna close the sheets folder. The crack folder. Kinda distracted today. And we're gonna open Charles. In the case, I'm gonna be doing Marvel, so you're gonna see as Marvel gets discovered with its new servers that they're using and fixed ish. Okay. First off, we need to run Marvel now. And let's see what Charles will be doing. We need to first realize which are Marvel's new folders. They should identify themselves, since it's normally pretty easy to get a pinpoint of its new location, and I already know which one is it, you see? That one, that one. So they start now with MAA1 or other numbers, then .content.disney.io. Goody goody. That's the third time they're changing their server. Still will not do on stopping people from cheating, which I'm really not doing for quite a lot of time now, and I'm really not thinking of coming back to that anytime soon, if ever. But I'm gonna be trying to disclose to you some of the stuff where you can play or set things up and not ask me about how can I install SSL certificate or Charles. So now we have the SSL certificate installed, but it still has a lock. And that's because it's an SSL response, right? So let's go and click a right button, on MAA content Disney blah blah blah, and enable SSL proxying. It says SSL proxying disabled. Enable. So for this server, we enable it. Anything that goes with Playdom in that case, we will do like this. Weblogger Disney, we don't need that one. Offer also, this is the offer to buy shit. The next server also will be done like that. The SNC will be done like that. SNF SNC web active. Happy Playdom, you don't need that. This is extremely important. N7 MAA. So it doesn't matter how much they've changed their server. There should be a pretty easy way to discover them. Also, the web active, enable. Okay. Now, these are responses. It now loaded the XML for the neighbors, what your neighbor have, and etc, etc. So when you get a help from a neighbor, the game would know what level he is, how much money he has, or what level are his heroes, how many heroes he has. Basically every single information from your neighbor is being delivered to you. For example, player Imran, user ID is this, or the 7. Agent level is 300, maybe a lot more because there is 300 plus in that game, but it usually stays always. It says what is the link to his profile picture, which you can actually follow the link, and you will see the picture, medal number, number of medals that he got, group boss percentage damage dealt. If he helped you in a group boss fight, it says what's the damage he dealt. Or, well, some of these stuff you can change, but we're not going to discuss any of that now. Sorry. Timestamp for when the group boss was spawned, etc, etc, etc. So, we're gonna clear that, and we're gonna go and clear the cache, because now the cache of the browser has all of the Marvel files loaded, and it will not reach for them at any time soon unless we clean the cache. From the beginning of time, cached images and files, that's the only one you need. Don't flash anything else, passwords, autofill form, or whatever. Just this one. Clearing browsing data. I'm going to delete this. No, it is taking a while normally, but it's okay. Job all done. Now, before we continue, there is a run menu in each and every Windows since 95. Windows 95, and I seriously doubt you'll ever have any of those Windowses. They're extremely old and outdated. So, going to the run menu and writing set mgr, I think was it. How was it really? MSC, of course, I forgot. So I was very close. MSC. and then click OK. You will then find the folder that we installed the SSL certificate in. Trusted Root Certification Authorities. Going inside there, you will see the Charles Proxy Custom Root Certificate. Should you have any problem, you can always just delete it, and that's it, and restart again. You will again be asked all of the confirmations, yes, okay, imported, blah blah blah. That's it. So, closing this, and moving back to Marvel and Charles. Actually, I'm gonna clean the cat. Oops. Off. What the hell am I doing? I'm gonna clean the cache data one more time, and then I'm gonna refresh Marvel, so I can get now the complete new files unmasked, available for download and modification. That and most of the stuff in future you will have to either learn alone how to fix, change, or whatever, or yeah, pretty much. You can also give SSL privilege to each and every SNF you find along the way. Not that it makes any difference, but it's a good idea to do so. So let's try with the first server and see where the client XML is. Should be here in the production and setting. XML. Today, English US, that's the language of my Marvel, the one that I chose, and here it is, client XML. Huge file, huge file. Now, since I don't really need that file to save a response, to desktop, let's say, no, not to desktop, to my documents folder, yeah. Okay, today, bitch. So client XML is saved here. And I'm gonna go to documents, and we see that it's huge file, huge. And then you should have installed Notepad++. That is essential for modifying. XML's very easy to work with. Then change the default app to it. If you don't have it, find it, look to another app in the PC, find where it is, and just choose it. In my case, it's in the menu. Just go with OK, and it immediately changes for all XML files. So, you can then open the client, or for that matter, any other file, XML file. Change whatever you have to change, and save it. And once it's saved, from here, you can close. Then you will be, for this to work, whatever you changed, you will do a mapping. So you go like right click on the same response, not closing or doing anything particular within that time, and map local, or if you put that client in some web page of yours, be reachable, you can make a map remote and point to the destination of the XML that you hosted. Simple, isn't it? So map local, and you basically leave all of that intact apart from here. This one is the date. Normally the date may change, the updates may be minor and may change very frequently, and this will make your XML file invalid because Charles will no longer find that client because it's not searching for it, because you never said that particular response with new date address to search for a custom XML file. But when you put a star on that one, you say whatever the number is in between those forward slashes, then search for client XML. You can name it anything you want, not this one. This one has to be official because that will be the response of the server, and you don't have authority to change the name of the client within the Marvel server. So that you don't change. You can change your own, the one that you have locally or in your server, the one you modified. And then choose. You choose the client and you do OK. Then you simply need to wipe the cache data again and refresh Marvel to get all of the results. But since we didn't really change anything, the only thing it'll do is just replace the original with the original. So yeah, and I'm gonna show you how it looks like. So we're gonna refresh Marvel, so we'll see what Marvel will do once it loads the next time. Will it look for that folder or not? Normally from the first time it will load a lot, because since you cleared the cache, the game has nothing recorded on your computer, so it has to download each and every one of the files. So that's why browsers make cache copies of everything to increase the process of loading. Simple enough, but you need to clear your cache in order for any changes to be taken in consideration and to work. So, this is the old client, the one that never got, it never got mapped or replaced. This one down here is the new one, and it says that it mapped a local file coming from C user admin document as I named the folder, and the file is client.xml. But like I said, once it's in your local folder or your personal remote folder, you can give that file a name before mapping it, or if it's already mapped, you need to then edit the name to match the name of the file in the source where you mapped it to. Okay. Well, pretty much that's it. Then you can play with responses in N7 MAA app production active playden.com blah blah blah. And it's all pretty simple and very straightforward. That's it. Thank you again for watching. Like, share and subscribe so people would actually know now and learn how to do all of those stuff. And from then on, I'm kinda hoping to get less and less stupid questions. So, yeah. Thank you. Peace.